We are about to round out the day, as we always do, with our PowerUp Live Daily Roundup presented by RSM. My name is Nico Johnson, your co-host for the show. I'm the host of the popular Suncast podcast and the CEO of Suncast Media. I'm joined by Joshua Beck. Josh, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Josh Beck, RSM. I am the leader for the renewable energy sector and the family office division, working with a lot of families across the United States who are investing in solar, developing their own lands, tax equity. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's as fun as tax can get.
It's as fun as tax can get. I think that's probably, RSM should coin that.
Yeah, as fun as tax can get.
Well, each day on the Daily Roundup, we bring you a litany of experts who have been walking the show floor, interacting throughout the show with lots of experts on different elements of how the industry is moving forward. Sadly, today is the second day, which means tomorrow is the last day. Hopefully you've had a chance to walk the show floor. I certainly haven't. If you've seen me, somebody said, I've seen you like 8 times, always running. Yeah, I am I am back and forth.
Right.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
Okay, I have been loving the RE Plus Connect app as well. It has saved my neck this week. If you haven't downloaded it, you really have missed out on an opportunity because you can actually plot. I'm at the Unirac booth, and I want to go to the SEG Solar booth or the ANZA booth, and it'll tell you how many feet in meters, what the distance is in meters, and the estimated time.
Yep.
And of course, I just chop that in half because I run.
That's
Josh,
right.
It's day 2 of the show. I'd love for you to give us a sense of the state of the solar union, as it were. You've been walking around talking with economists.
Yes.
You've been talking with energy market experts. So give me a sense of the stats that you're seeing and hearing from the last 12 months and what the buzz is on the show floor.
Great. So I wanted to put up some really key indicators that I've been talking to macroeconomists about within our industry. And this is fascinating. So what I was really interested in finding out is what is the true impact of the Inflation Reduction Act? Is it working, right? Is this creating actually a tipping point of private investment across our ecosystem, right? Are people actually taking advantage of these 45X domestic manufacturing credits or the 48C credits to really move tens of millions of dollars of capital equipment and onshore this into operations? Yesterday, we talked a little bit about this theme of trying to consolidate supply chains, getting closer to customers, shortening routes on inland logistics costs, right? So what we're seeing here is some massive numbers, right? 25.8 billion in private investment. This is not governments. This is not state governments doing things. This is private corporations saying it now makes economic sense for me to move my operations into Texas, into Pennsylvania, into Arizona. We're seeing some really big winners, particularly in some of the Carolina states, in the northeastern states, and obviously Texas has been a massive winner, both on the energy integration side with solar and wind, but then also on the manufacturing side. We're seeing lots of foreign trade zones popping up. We're seeing lots of module manufacturers really onshoring production into those Texas markets. And we're seeing a lot of consolidation in those steel supply chains for the tracking and all the racking systems as well. We've got 2 billion of those assets already operational. And I know that we talked about our friend Jim Wood and the team over at SEG, who just opened up their new module manufacturing operation just south of Houston. That would be 60 million of that $2 billion total as an example of the types of companies that are onshoring here. 16 billion are planning to actually be in production mode within the next 24 months. Or I'm sorry, within the next 12 months. So it's amazing to see 39,000 renewable hardware jobs. Isn't that incredible? Incredible, right? Whenever we put that into context, all of these are above prevailing wage, by the way, right? So then what you see here in the Delta, 19.25, that's generally on the steel, the mechanical balance of systems. Think old school steel workers that were working at a foundry or a forge. Those same groups are now migrating in at $19.25 an hour on average. On the upper side, we've got the electrical engineering side, the people working on inverters, on all of the connector side of things. So the electrical side of the manufacturing is making a little bit more on the economic side. And 142,000 jobs added in Q1 through Q3. Tremendous. What a victory. What a victory for the American economy, right? Yeah. Let's give it... I mean, incredible. We love to see this is good government in action, right? This policy is actually driving a tremendous amount of activity. And now we've got 39 gigawatts of domestic production annually. I mean, if we would have rewound 5 years from now, that was an impossibility, right? No one would say we don't think it'll ever happen again in America. We're never going to have that type of manufacturing sector again. And here we go. It's all online. And I think it's fascinating, Nico, as we get to the bottom here, we've got the U.S. grid investments. So this is a lot of a combination of, these U.S. grid investments are actually private investments as well. Infrastructure, high voltage, last mile transmission, $168 billion. And you can see the breakdown there between transmission and distribution investments. Now, the elephant in the room is still the inverters, right? 51% of the market is still consolidated out of China, right? And we all know that there's some issues around cybersecurity with those inverters. A lot of them are being white labeled, right? And we can see that 46 gigawatts worth of inverters are going to be shipped from China into the United States just between now and the end of the year. This is a massive total. So nothing wrong with the supply chain here, but it's important for us to understand that as we're onshoring part of it, we're actually seeing very little to no movement on the onshoring of inverter manufacturing. It's one of these areas that seems to be the lagging indicator. The solar modules, the silicon, the polysilicon cells and the silicon wafers, and then all of the steel componentry, we're seeing massive investments. Much less so, it's really hard. You got to dig deep to find examples of that on the inverter side. Interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I'm working on all the next segments. You ready to segue to Solarboi?
I'm ready, man.
Fantastic. If you guys tuned in yesterday, you'll remember that we have our Solarboi, man on the street, Derek Mast Solarboi. If you've seen him with the purple hair, the purple shirt,
yeah.
He's walking around asking questions of everybody in the trade show. And Derek quickly summarized a little bit of the sentiment on the show floor. We're going to listen to it right about now.
It is day 2 of the RE Plus show floor, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. The solar industry runs on acronyms and abbreviations, but do the professionals of the industry know what they stand for? Today we're playing a game called Alphabet Soup, where I'm having people guess what the abbreviations and acronyms of the industry stand for, and we'll see who does the best. Do you want to tell me your names? What do you do? Who do you work for?
Todd Mitchell, work for Omnidian, Technical Operations Manager.
I'm Tiffany Talley, work for Omnidian, and I'm a Commercial Field Service Manager.
I'm Micah, and I'm with Solar States. We're Philadelphia's best solar installation and education company.
Well, then you should absolutely ace this game then. All right.
Let's do it, Solarboi.
I'm Sue Stark, Senior Manager Training with Rhone Resch.
I'm AJ Bittner. I am the East Coast Director for Rhone Resch.
Chris Berg, Commercial Solutions Manager, and I work for Unirac.
All right, we're going to start off pretty simple. We're going to start off with IRA.
Inflation Reduction Act.
Inflation Reduction Act is correct. Correct.
Everybody knows that's the Irish Republican Army, or the Inflation Reduction Act.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
Very good job.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
Very nice. You are going to absolutely lose your solar card if you didn't get that.
That's right.
All right, level 2. There we go.
Oh, if you don't get that.
See ya.
Go ahead.
Solar Energy Industry Association.
Solar Energy Industry Association.
Industries.
Industries.
The last people got him. I'll give you the point.
Solar Energy Industries Association.
Very good. You're the first person that's gotten the plural to industry. Industries.
Solar Energy Industry Association.
Oh, industries. Plural.
Okay.
This guy. Very close, though.
Do you get any points for being a member of SIA as well? Maybe half
Not
credit?
if you don't know the name. Very particular here.
Very particular. That's good. You got to uphold standards.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Best.
Battery Energy Storage Systems.
Very nice.
I'm the best.
You're the best.
You know, I can't remember this one. Hold on. Energy storage systems.
Oh, shoot. I'm going to fail this one.
Battery Energy Storage System.
You were so close.
Battery.
You can phone a friend if you
Oh,
want.
sorry.
That's a battery energy
Storage.
system.
NABCEP. Something we all say quite frequently, but
The National Board of Certified Energy Practitioners.
The North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. It's the worst acronym in the world.
true. But you nailed it.
North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners.
A lot more people are getting that one than I expected.
I happen to be
Nice job.
NABCEP certified.
Yes, she does.
I do too, but I couldn't have told you what it was before making the quiz.
North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners.
Every single person. I swear I had no idea.
You know-
ICA. So you got to guess. It's the rules. You got to at least try.
I see it. Make something up. That's dangerous. International Contractors Association? No.
That is wrong.
ICA. I don't know
ICA.
that one. Interconnection. Association?
International Code Association.
Well, that's pretty good.
I got to guess something. In case Aardvark.
Interconnection agreement is what I was looking for.
I've never
Very
seen
close.
ICA before. I've
Yeah.
literally never seen
Okay.
ICA as an acronym before. Didn't know.
And maybe it's just me, but you all are at my whim, so I get to decide. PVHCS.
PV hazard control system.
Photovoltaic. Man, I'm doing terrible at this.
Well, you started off good.
Well, PV, I would guess, is photovoltaic.
That's what they want you to think.
Oh, hazard control system.
Very good. Yes.
Photovoltaic hazard control system.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was an acronym for that.
I know.
There you go.
It's not
learned
also
something.
not a great acronym.
Not a great acronym, but it is an acronym
It
nonetheless.
is. It is. Last one. SHSI or SHISI.
Now you're really stumping me,
question.
man. Solar Hacienda Side Institute. No.
Solar.
Health?
This is an obscure one. It is a NABCEP certification.
Oh, it is. NABCEP has come up with so many certifications. We
Yeah,
only
I
had
know.
PVIP when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And now I'm a NABCEP trainer. I should know the acronyms. Sales and Home Studies Institute.
Solar hot.
What did you say?
Solar hot.
That's closer than a lot of guesses
Like,
we've
is
had.
it the-
This is related to NABCEP, actually.
Is it? Certified home.
That's certified does not
Oh,
sound
no, it doesn't. That does.
It makes the same. It does make the same sound.
It
though.
does. Solar home system inspector.
Solar hot water certification.
Solar heating system inspector.
Correct.
Solar heating.
Yeah, most popular of their
So-
certifications.
Said tongue firmly in cheek.
And when's my turn now to do mine? Oh, that was our turn. I'm sorry. I would have been more involved.
Thank you to everybody who played our game. I had a great time. With that, we're going to go right back to the PowerUp Live stage.
If you were here yesterday, I can definitely say that Solarboi stepped up his game today. I'm really proud of Derek Mass because we asked him about a week and a half ago if he would do that segment for us. And he literally did all of these interviews and edited them virtually in real time to make it possible to entertain you with these solar quizzes as they are.
That's right.
Working on some segments for 2025, Rhone. We're working on it. All right. As typical, we are going to bring up someone that we want you to learn more about their business because their business is expanding the way we think about how what we do in each and every day touches the grid. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Ben Brown, the CEO of Renew Home. Ben, it is. I've been really looking forward to this interview. When I got a chance to chat with your team, I had like light bulbs going off, and
Fantastic.
I'm sure that happens a lot, frankly, when you get in conversations with folks. So Ben comes to Renew Home with 20 years of experience in the energy sector, contributing significant energy-related projects at the UN and with the DOE. Also started and sold his own energy management company. He was instrumental in founding and development of many of Google's consumer energy products. I think you were most recently with Google Home, Google Wi-Fi, and the Nest Wi-Fi product. He is now the CEO of Renew Home, which I will let you tell us more about. But Renew Home has a very special place in the home because of your proximity to and connection with Google Nest. Ben, welcome to the show.
Really excited to be here. So, as you mentioned, Renew Home is the coming together of two great organizations that have worked together for a long time. So, we had the Nest Energy team that had worked on the Nest Learning Thermostat for the last decade. And then we also had the OhmConnect team, who was one of the innovators in the virtual power plant space, being able to work on bringing together devices in the home all the way through transacting wholesale energy markets in California and New York. And so coming together Renew Home, which was funded by Sidewalk as a spin out from Google, and the coming together of OhmConnect, brings together the largest residential virtual power plant in North America.
Amazing.
Where we have millions of households across the country participating to provide over 3 gigawatts of virtual power plant capacity across the country.
Yeah.
And we feel like this is a moment in time to really talk about why we've been thinking about for a long time, is this a chicken and egg problem? Like when do we get to scale in some of these distributed energy resource programs?
Yeah.
When do we get to scale where in which consumers are part of driving this revolution in terms of decarbonization and grid flexibility? And we're here to say that, over the last decade, we've been building these programs with 100 plus utilities, with a lot of different device partners. And I think we're getting to that moment. We're here.
I think what's remarkable is the leapfrog that Renew Home did to the industry, because the whole solar and storage industry sort of had this concept of VPPs cornered, right? And arguably there are those in the solar and storage industry who lay claim to the largest portfolios of VPPs. And Renew Home is essentially turning that whole concept upside down in terms of what can be controlled as a DER to qualify as a VPP. Can you talk a bit about why it is, how sort of the larger context of the electrified home and why this concept of VPP and grid flexibility is so important?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's important that we look at a full set of technologies, right? So obviously with solar and storage and even EVs coming into the mix over the coming decade in terms of scale, we still have to look at like what most people across the country have in their homes today, right? Over the last 50 years, we have these amazing things that are HVAC systems that are in 80 million plus people's homes. We have hot water heating systems. Those are massive thermal batteries. And the ability for devices that are marginal cost to be able to make that controllable, flexible, and drive energy cost savings to customers is something that has generally been untapped, right? Especially at scale. And I think one of the amazing innovations about Nest a decade ago was providing this beautiful enchanted object, this like very desirable device you put on your wall. But then it also was this magical in terms of it helped you save money. It gave you more controllability over comfort. I learned your schedules. And the beauty about where we are today is that as energy prices and energy mixes and more renewables are coming online, the volatility real time of energy prices is also kind of fluctuating. And to be able to empower households to kind of participate in that and be able to provide a resource in aggregate to the grid across millions and millions of households, that, by the way, those households that are kind of the early adopters to smart thermostats also tend to be like far more likely to be people that are getting EVs, that are thinking about solar and storage, that are thinking about electrifying heating in their home or electrifying hot water systems. And so for us, recognizing that, we've worked with those households for a decade, recognizing we have a lot of other partners in the ecosystem, like Honeywell and Rheem and a bunch of folks that we've worked with for a long time, we recognize that we can provide a really meaningful funnel and resource to help kind of grow electrification in the home. So leveraging an existing set of a large, resource for customers participating in programs for smart thermostats and HVAC, but being able to provide a lot more than that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ben. That's so fascinating.
I got you.
Yeah, thank you. One thing that I'm so interested, I read your position paper on virtual power plants, and I got to give your team kudos because, man, as a, I consider myself a data nerd, and man, you guys went deep into the data set in order to pull all that stuff out. So well done on that. I recommend anyone read it if you can find it online. I'm really interested to hear your perspective on, from the perspective of critical load shifting. Where do you see the place of residential VPPs as it pertains to critical load shifts?
Yeah, so I think what was beautiful about and why we wanted to do the position paper is that you kind of mentioned it before. In the space that we operate in, we're always excited about new technology, like the newest thing that's coming, that's going to be the silver bullet that kind of saves us from kind of the challenges that we have in terms of growing load on the grid and the ability to decarbonize. And the reality is there's just a massive untapped resource, which is these 80 plus million HVAC systems across the country. You already have, tens of millions of households starting to adopt smart thermostats. We can grow that even more substantially, and that provides an amazing resource. But what's interesting about the last decade is that we've, brought in millions of households into these, demand response programs through what we call rush hour rewards. And what we've learned through that is not only can households provide a really meaningful critical resource on those 10 events, hottest days of the year, where they're more traditional notions of where the grid has had trouble in the past, but actually on a continuous basis. So it's not just those peak events that are, again, those 4-hour, 3-hour periods 10 times a year where the grid is built for, but actually more and more when renewables are coming online, where in which we're retiring more traditional fossil-based systems. It is very important to have that as a continuous resource that is there 365 days a year, that can operate in 15-minute increments, can be able to kind of help support solar as it winds down in the day when other resources are popping offline or online. And to me, I think that is the critical piece of this, which is like supply and demand orchestrated together more effectively, and to empower customers as a huge part of that solution, where in which you're using automation, you're using technology to do that, I think is really powerful.
Ben, I wish I had time for a 30-minute interview with you. I could tell you, I could go very deep on this topic. I was curious, in sort of a parting thought, given the pedigree from Google Nest and the Google suite of products. Does Renew Home have sort of an inside track on the use of the Nest product as a VPP?
Yeah, so we obviously have a very strong relationship with Google, and we are their platform for energy management moving forward.
Okay, so it's more or less exclusive with the Nest product.
Absolutely,
Wow.
but
Incredible.
also in addition
Wow.
to Nest, we decided to make this an independent company because we wanted to be able to ensure that we could grow the partnership
Grow
landscape.
beyond the
So it's
thermostat.
not just Nest, but we have partnerships with Honeywell.
Yeah.
We have partnerships with Rheem. We have partnerships with other vendors across a lot of different technologies, right? So
Yeah.
in the EV space and the storage space as well. So we're excited about it.
Yep.
Thank you so much for having us. We're
Google
really excited.
disrupting once again how energy is made and how electrons are moved. Ben Brown is the CEO of Renew Home. Thank you for coming. I definitely want to get you on Suncast, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having
Ben.
us. Appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Hey, likewise. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and as is our tradition, our final panel is a panel of folks. So we're going to bring up
All-stars.
Yeah, we're going to bring up some all-stars, some
Heavy hitters.
some legit OGs and some
Yes.
up-and-comers.
Uh-huh.
I want to first invite someone that I've looked up to for a long time, Rhone Resch, to the stage. Rhone, come take a seat. Rhone Resch probably needs little introduction for most of you. He's the president of Solar Analytics, but he was also the president of SIA for many years, well known as having lifted us out of the cottage industry. My friend, it's good to see you.
Great to see you.
Welcome to the
Rhone. Great
stage.
see you.
And he was also responsible for the passing of the ITC, essentially, under your leadership. Yeah. I'm going to bring up someone else who has been making waves in the industry, Mr. Joe Ordia. Joe, would you want to come to the stage? If you don't follow Solar Surge, which is up here on the wall, Joe Ordia is one of the true all-stars on the hunt right now for every product out there on the market. He has a YouTube channel that you should follow. I became addicted to it because he does probably the best product comparisons in the industry, and for good reason. Yeah, and for good reason. He is a. Oh, it's stuck under the seat. For good reason. He's a trusted voice for homeowners and installers alike. Sorry, it's a little tight. Ron, you might want to come this way a little bit.
Yep. Okay.
It's the first time we've had 5 on the stage, I think, at all. And last but certainly not least, recently joining Heat Map News from Axios to cover renewables and launching The Fight, Jael Holzman is a senior reporter for Heat Map News, an amazing vocalist, and someone who has generally impressed me with her acuity and insight into many segments of the market. Jael, how you feeling?
Here. It's really, really good to be here, especially on a 5-person stage. We're all going to be very, very comfortable together.
We're gonna get comfortable.
Jael, thank you so much. I want to start with the first question here. So I would love to know, what has it been like, the move from Axia to Heat Maps?
Well, so HEMAP is a fossil-free climate and energy news outlet that launched about 1.5 years ago by Rob Meyer, formerly of The Atlantic. I myself came to HeatMap earlier this year from Axios after spending my entire career as a reporter in Congress. I started the week that Trump was inaugurated covering climate policy and energy policy. And now that I work for HeatMap, I can tell you, I can look at myself in the mirror, which is really nice. But, candidly, the past couple of weeks, we've been launching a newsletter called The Fight that is aimed at exploring the local conflicts in the energy transition, places where, honestly, news has been hollowed out, where we can investigate and uncover why projects aren't being built. One of the most important problems everyone in this conference has been telling me about the whole week.
Absolutely. It's exciting. If you haven't subscribed to The Fight, I would highly recommend that you do. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to bring JL on, because I'm really impressed at how you are taking the fight to the local community. One of the things, Rhone, that SIA really did during your tenure was take the fight to Congress to really stand up for our industry. You've handed the torch off to Abby. We've now had 50 years as a solar industry association, solar energy industry association. What are you most proud of in the 10 years since you handed off the torch?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, first of all, the growth of the industry in both scale and impact, right? Which is we went from when I started in 2004, that year was a record year. We did 52 megawatts across the entire country of photovoltaics. 52 megawatts. And we're going to do what? Close to 50,000 megawatts this year.
That's right.
Unbelievable. We were at about 10,000 employees, and a lot of them were in R&D, and a lot of them kind of like in this whole solar water heating and other segments, but 10,000 employees in 2004. Now we have 263,833. Exactly. And, and so massive growth. And, the numbers you put up before, Josh, showing all the manufacturing is in addition to what we have right now. So I think what I'm most proud of is we created policy that created a stable industry. We worked with Wall Street so that they would invest in solar and that it was a stable investment and it was bankable, right? We worked with the public so they accepted solar, that it was a technology they wanted to put on their house. One of the very first, you'll get a kick out of this actually, Jael, one of the very first speakers we had at RE+2, it was solar power at that time, was Lamar Alexander. And Lamar Alexander actually was our sponsor in the Senate for the investment tax credit, even though he wasn't on the Senate Finance Committee. So Lamar came and he spoke, and he's like, hey, I've got one bit of advice. And I had no idea what Lamar's going to say. He's in front of whatever we have, 750 people. And he's got one bit of advice. For every engineer you hire 2 industrial designers, because your product is ugly and nobody wants to put it up on their roof because you're proud of your house and you should have something better looking. Gotcha. And so by getting the customer to accept ultimately solar as something that they want to put on their house, we didn't have to deal with Lamar Alexander and all of his kind of ignorance. And I think that's really helped transform. I'm also super proud of what we have here, right? 40,000 people here, and this show and what Stephen Miner and Gary and all the rest of his team at RE Plus have done have really helped grow the industry as much as anything else that any group has done over this time. And so getting everybody together to unify and carry the message and network and ultimately bring a positive message to the public, critical.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
When I was volunteering at RE Plus 2006 in San Jose, my first year as a volunteer badge scanning, I think there were less than 5,000. So to see 50,000 plus here at 10x growth in under 20-year tenure that I've had in the industry is just tremendous.
It really is. It's super exciting.
That's great. Joe, I've got a question for you. I love your videos. I love the product comparisons. Your reviews of solar and battery technology is just truly fantastic. I'd love to know, as you're walking around the show, what technologies did you see this week that really put a light bulb off, or really you're like, oh man, that's something for me to talk about?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate that. I wouldn't say that there's any one product or technology that I saw this week that knocked my socks off. More what I'm seeing is a trend that solar and batteries are going from being individual stovepipe systems to more of part of an overall smart home energy management system, where that smart home energy management system might include solar, storage, electric vehicle, how you heat and cool the home, smart home intelligent load management, maybe even a fossil fuel burning generator as part of the combination. And all of those systems being able to work together in an intelligent fashion seamlessly as if they're part of one platform. So that's what I'm seeing.
That's fantastic.
Rhone, I know you are focused more on the IoT and cybersecurity side. Is there anything that stands out to you about how these assets are being managed?
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a little dirty secret in the solar industry, and I don't want to necessarily drop the bomb here, but the truth is KWH does a really good job every year coming out with a risk study, and it shows that, on average, solar is underperforming by 8% under their P50 levels. 8%. There is no other segment of the energy industry that's even close to that, let alone would ever stand for that. But that's our average. Right? So this underperformance issue is something that, they're aware of, but everybody's focused on building new assets, right? We're in this rush to build more, which is fantastic. But we've got all of these assets we've already capitalized, we've already spent the ITC on, and they're degrading rapidly, and nobody's really paying attention in order to maximize the kilowatt hours out of these existing assets. What I fear, and a big part of what we're doing at Solarlytics, because we have a whole system to address this, but what I fear is that we're going to lose the trust of Wall Street. Right. They're going to say solar's no longer a good investment. We're no longer driven by ESG. We're no longer driven by high returns. Their returns are too low. or we're going to get a Wall Street Journal article that comes out and says, hey, solar doesn't work at night, now it doesn't work in the day, the dirty little truth about solar. So we as an industry really need to get our act together and not just build new. And new's fantastic. I love it. Absolutely. Continue to build new. But make sure that we're cleaning up our house and that those systems are performing as well as they possibly can in order to get as many clean kilowatt hours out of these existing assets as possible.
Well, and you hit on something really interesting, Rhone, which is trust, right? Bankers need to trust the developers. The developers need to trust the tax equity. Like all of this stuff, boy, it's really an element of harmony. My question I'd like to follow up with Jael, in terms of opposition that you're seeing within the renewable energy market, particularly at the state local levels, like what do you think is creating those headwinds, and what do you think that we as a collective community can do about that?
Well, one of the singular challenges we face as a society today is a lack of trust, generally speaking, in technological innovation. It drives people to want to restrict access to social media. It drives people to not want to put a vaccine in their arm. And it also drives people to not want to put a solar plant on their property. It drives people to be fearful.
Yeah, not in my backyard, right?
Well, beyond that, I mean, the first story that we did for our newsletter, The Fight, that launched last week, was on a project about an hour north of here in the small town of Acton. It's an unincorporated community in LA County where a large battery energy storage site was approved without the community even knowing. And I interviewed people who are involved in the litigation against that project, which did not go anywhere and left them feeling really frustrated. So what did they do? They went to their Republican member of Congress, who now is waging a campaign to tie BESS systems to wildfires and slow down efforts to speed up permitting. That experience taught me that fear is what's driving a lot of this, sometimes founded and sometimes not. I mean, the activists who were against the project told me they'd be fine with an iron flow battery system, for example. They'd be fine with other kinds of technologies. It's very specific, and it requires a lot more focus on community engagement, on community relations. It's something that other industries like mineral extraction, for example, have had a lot more time and experience with, right? Like mining, you spend a lot of time on community engagement. But people are not necessarily accustomed to spending that much on the front end in terms of really waging a campaign to have people understand and buy into the project. So, I think it's honestly on all of us to empathize with one another and try to, as you put it, work in harmony.
Well, yeah, and to expand on that, I think that also to articulate to local government administrators what this means to their tax revenues, what this means to the actual infrastructure that they're trying to create. I find it fascinating that they're like, we just have no idea how the local government's actually going to be able to function with this asset there. It's a massive win for everyone across the board.
It absolutely is. Well, I wish we had time, as I said to Ben, to have a much longer conversation with each of you individually. So I'm going to make a collective ask. As we think about sort of this futurist perspective, 12 months from now, we're meeting again in Las Vegas. What do you think we're going to be talking about as we gather a year from now in Las Vegas? Ron, I'm going to put you on the spot first.
I think we're going to be talking about a massive acceleration that needs to occur, right? And we've talked about growth of this industry, and a lot of it's been organic, and a lot of it's been entrepreneurial. But there needs to be a rapid scale up because we're all experiencing much hotter temperatures. We're seeing that those hotter temperatures are now affecting the efficiency of solar arrays throughout the entire country, which is actually an interesting and sad issue behind it. But I think what you're going to have with the new administration is going to be an emphasis on very fast action to address climate change. The IRA is fantastic. The implementation has been great, but we need some urgency in how we're deploying, and we're going to be one of those industries that has to step in a very different way with real leadership, and really being part of the community instead of just building it, selling it, and moving on to the next one.
Well said. Well said.
Joe?
Well, Nico, I think that's a great question. I think when we look back at the year in 2025, we're probably going to be asking ourselves, what were we thinking in terms of the residential solar installer business model? Because I think what the market is telling us this year is that the super high volume, multi-state, working with dozens of independent sales dealers, that model for a solar residential installation contractor doesn't work long term. And I think the more long-term sustainable solar business of the future might look like today's HVAC contractor service business. And so I think that's a question we have to ask ourselves. Is what is the solar business model supposed to look like at the residential contractor level? Because what we've tried and what was tried to scale, we've seen a number of high-profile failures, which unfortunately gave the industry a black eye and left a number of homeowners abandoned.
Yes.
Homeowners that deserve to have good service on a functioning system. We just need to figure out how to provide that better.
Well
That's
said.
what I think.
I hate
Yeah.
to ruin the garden party, but what we'll all be talking about next year is going to depend on the results of the presidential election.
Well said.
I think last night, went in a very clear direction as to kind of the priority for where we're going as a country.
He said that in 2016
Fingers
too.
crossed.
That's right.
Different candidate, different time.
I remain optimistic as you do, Rhone and Jael. I accept your counterpoint. I think that it's wonderful to have such a breadth of perspective from different viewpoints, each of you really covering a completely different aspect of how this industry is growing. Thank you for taking time to join us on the PowerUp Live stage and be a part of the Daily Roundup.
And thank you for all the work you do.
Absolutely.
Incredibly valuable.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of fun.
Thank you.